Welcome to Kermode Uncut. There's a new movie currently playing in UK cinemas called The Witch. I'm sure you've heard about it, but have seen the trailers and the publicity. Directed by Robert Eggers, it's his first feature as a writer and director, and I really like it. I reviewed it on the Radio 5 live show I do with Simon Mayo. It's a story set in the 17th century about a puritanical family who are absolutely obsessed with the idea of sin and worrying about sin and being terrified of a spectral presence, a witch, which they believe is stealing their children. And the film, I think, walks a brilliant line between suggesting and showing supernatural evil. It's really a psychological chiller as far as I'm concerned. And one of the problems with the film is how best to describe it. When the film first played at the Sundance Film Festival, it got a very good reception. And since then, people have been talking about it as a horror movie, as a really scary, creepy, frightening film. I can understand why. I mean, it really got under my skin. It's one of those films that really kind of gets into your soul and you think about it for a long time afterwards. But what it doesn't have are the kind of jump scares, the quiet bangs, which people are now used to in horror cinema. So, when the movie was being publicised, and kind of the publicity lent on it being a horror film, and as a result of that, some people have gone to see it and come away oddly disappointed. I saw the film first at a preview screening, which I loved it. Then over the weekend, I went to see it again at a public screening. I went to the Odeon in Southampton, and there were a few people in the cinema, and some of them seemed to really like it. Some of them, however, were clearly expecting something very different. There are long periods of silence, long periods of stillness, long periods in which it's all to do with brooding atmosphere. And although a good 2/3 of the audience was going with it, you could feel a third of them had come expecting a different film. Now, if you've seen the trailer, you can understand why. The trailer necessarily plays up the scarier aspects, the supernatural aspects. As for the poster, well, it looks to me like a kind of rip-off of the poster for William Friedkin's The Guardian. I mean, that was a horror film. He said that was the only horror film he ever made. He didn't think The Exorcist was. But, of course, The Guardian wasn't horrifying. It kind of reminded me of that case recently of Crimson Peak, when the poster made it look like The Addams Family, but that wasn't the film at all. So how do you sell a movie like The Witch? When I was reviewing it, I said, well, it reminded me of Dry as Odette, and I was thinking of Aldous Huxley's book, The Devils of Loudun, with a little bit of Hans Christian Schmidt's Requiem, and perhaps an inkling of The Crucible by Arthur Miller. Well, that's not going on any poster anytime soon, certainly not up there with It Scared the Life Out of Me. I remember William Friedkin once said to me that he said Alibaba was a film that will scare the life out of you. It's a brilliant film and it's certainly chilling, but I'm not sure that that was the best preparation for it. Incidentally, Friedkin said the same thing about The Babadook, which really did scare me. But again, some other audiences were expecting something different. So my question to you is this. Firstly, have you seen The Witch? Do you like it as much as I do? Because I think it's a really well-made film. I think it's really intriguing and fascinating, can be read in so many different ways. But did you like it as much as I do? And if you did, if you were selling it, how would you sum it up? What's the tagline you would use? What's the image you would use? What's the publicity hook that you would use? How would you sell The Witch to a cinema audience? Because I'm just kind of stuck on, it's really good, trust me.